us right now is former Regan economic advisor and Laffer Associates founder and chairman Art Laffer on set with us this morning. Art, good to see you.
Thank you, Maria.
I want to talk to you about all the economic plans of these candidates on both sides of the aisle. But first, we got the jobs number coming out this Friday. 200,000, 220,000 has been the average in terms of jobs created every month. What are your expectations of the jobs number on Friday, and how would you characterize things?
It'll probably be right in the middle there. I mean, it has been the worst recovery ever for the last 8 years. I mean, it's just been deadly. If you look, what you really should look at is total employment as a share of adult population. That takes care of the participation rate as well as the unemployment rate. It combines them together. And if you look at that number, it goes straight down right in the Great Recession and just piddles right along up a little tiny bit, but we're way, way off where it was when Clinton. We are losing probably, I think it's 13 million jobs per year from the point when Clinton left office. So it's been a bad 15 years.
Would one of these economic plans of one of these candidates move the needle in terms of economic growth, do you think?
I think all the plans would move the needle a lot. Bernie's would move the needle greatly, way down, and so would Hillary's. But I think all the
you're saying those plans would take the economy down?
Oh, much further down, much further down. The Republicans are pretty much across the board all talking the same talk, lowering tax rates, broadening the tax base, you know, cutting government spending, free trade, minimal regulations. They're talking about monetary policy reform. I mean, what you just saw with Janet Yellen over here, I mean, keeping interest rates low means that no capital is going to flow to the mortgage market. And we have the worst housing recovery. It's been, what, since 2006, Maria? I mean, it's way below the long-term averages on new housing starts, you know, backlogs, all of that's way down. And you can't have a recovery in this country without a housing recovery. You just can't. And at very low interest rates, you're hitting the supply curve here, is no one wants to lend money to that house. Who wants to lend money of 3.5% for 30 years? No one.
So in addition to that, I mean, you brought up all the issues, and I'll just throw one other one in there, which is capital expenditures, right? If you look at our capital expenditures in the United States, they're virtually non-existent relative to, let's say, China. And what's worse is that CapEx did pick up in 2012, for example, peaked in 2014, and we're now declining once again. So, Art, I guess my question to you is, if we've got to get the labor force participation rate up, if we've got to get that total employment as percent of population rate up, if we got to get companies to invest again, what is the best economic policy? What is the best mix of personal taxes versus corporate taxes? What do we have to get done?
Well, the one you can do immediately is a corporate tax.
Yeah.
If you drop that tax rate to, let's say, 15% and made it non-territorial, so only American companies are taxed only in America, not in Ireland and everywhere else they operate, that would have a huge hit. I mean, it's pretty simple, but if you have two locations, A and B, if you raise taxes in B and you lower them in A, producers and manufacturers are going to move from B to A. And we are repelling companies. That's why you see all the inversions. But that's one that can be done quickly. Then you can do the personal income tax,
so what's
which is
the roadblock to that?
But go ahead.
Sorry? Yeah, what's the roadblock to doing this easy fix?
It's Obama. Okay. I mean, it's strictly Obama. I think every other candidate is willing to do it. And Obama.
Well, Jack Lew said, "I'm not going to change taxes. I'm going to stop inversions."
Yeah, but that's the wrong way to go.
And of course, we know what that is: an American company acquiring an international company so that they can move their headquarters and get a better tax rate.
It's ridiculous.
He doesn't want to change taxes.
But see, the thing that's really a problem is that this administration treats taxpayers as criminals and people to be controlled rather than customers. These are the guys who pay the bills.
But you need to.
These are the ones we love.
These candidates, and you'll admit this, they need to talk about spending more. And I agree. And Trump talks about it, but he references, like last night in the town hall, NATO, that we don't need to be spending as much money on NATO. But he has a tax plan where more than half of American households pay no federal income tax. He codifies that, number one, which I've brought up repeatedly. And two, none of these candidates really tackle Social Security and Medicare, which are the two, the interest on the debt and those two entitlements.
And we know that's where the money is.
Right.
That is where the money is. But do remember, they're in the beginning stages of a long campaign process. And Social Security is probably not the issue that the Republicans want. Once you get with a Democrat versus a Republican, then Social Security, entitlements, all of that is fair game. So, and then I think you're going to get the issues really discussed rather than all this other stuff.
The question is, are we going to get another, if a Republican wins, we're going to get another president like President Bush, who never met a spending plan that he didn't love.
I don't think so. I think all of these candidates, I mean, from the first 17, I think they're all much, much better than Bush was.
Trump's plan calls for a top personal tax rate of 25%.
That's pretty good.
Capital gains rate of 20% and a corporate rate of 15%.
That doesn't sound bad to me.
They all have corporate tax rates around 10 or 15%, yes?
Yeah, exactly. And it's great. I mean, you know, Ted Cruz has the 16, the 10, which is a fantastic plan.
But you're talking about the GOP. Hillary has a different tax plan.
No, that's why I said they'd move the needle, too.
Right, exactly.
The wrong way. They'd flip it the other way.
Talk to me about, because she was slamming Bush economics.
Yeah, I know. And what her husband did, I voted for Bill Clinton twice, as you know, and not in that party's primary, believe me. He was a great president. What he did on taxes was spectacular. I mean, he got rid of...
He went all the way to the middle in the second term.
Yeah, well, he got welfare reform. He got rid of the retirement test on Social Security. I mean, he cut government spending as a share of GDP by more than the next.
Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton did.
Is Hillary doing what?
No, she will not do any of that. She's exactly the opposite of Bill Clinton. And you know, you can't tax an economy into prosperity. I mean, you just can't.
But we are doing it, right?
Well, it's not into prosperity.
But if you look at the highest marginal tax rate right now is 43%, give or take. So that would be, you know, that would be light years better than that if we were to cut it back.
But Anastasia, if I can, that's the tax rate they collect. The tax rate you pay, I did a piece with John Childs, which is how out-of-pocket costs for filing your taxes on income taxes for corporations. It's about 30 cents on every dollar of taxes you pay. You have to pay out of pocket just to get your taxes paid for audits, lawyers, accountants, tax returns, all of this stuff. I mean, the taxes people pay are much higher than 43%.
Her